watchers, welcome to Perth Watch, your horology channel broadcasting from right here in Perth, Western Australia. Today I have a piece from a company with a rather interesting name, Swiss Watch Company. Now I don't know too much about these guys, but according to company law, they were founded back in '96 and actually were well known for making watches for first responders, so emergency workers in the United States. And they were commissioned to do that for a very long time, and they also continue to make watches, or at least manufacturing for many reputable brands. I don't know exactly what brands those were, but the goal was always to create their own line of watches. So in 2018 they launched their first piece, which was a diver watch, and this one I have today is a prototype of their second piece, which is called the Sport. Not too much in the name there, but it kind of just describes what the watch is supposed to represent, which is a kind of a sports utilitarian type of piece. So, the watch today comes in the packaging that's not the final packaging. This was the diver packaging, but anyway, let's just flip the camera around now and take a closer look at this guy. Alright guys, so here we have the package on the table. Keep in mind that this isn't the packaging that is going to come with this specific watch. This is the packaging for their diver, but for what it's worth, this material on this table, very spinnable really. It's really a 4 out of 5 at least for me. But I'm not going to talk more specifically about this because it's not what you're going to get if you pick up this watch, okay? So this is just a prototype, so they've just put bubble wrap in it, and they've included 2 of the Velcro straps along with a curved spring bar, which is what it's going to go with, and the links that I've removed, I've just put aside there. Okay, so enough about that. Let's look at the watch for you guys in closer detail. So guys, let's just open up the clasps here. This is the Swiss Watch Company's Sport model. So their latest model, the Kickstarter campaign should be going right now as I release this video. So, check out the links below if you want to look at more details on their website as well as on KS. The KS price is listed at $389 for this automatic version. It's slightly cheaper, of course, for the quartz version. And for what you get, I think it's not bad at all, actually. And we'll get into the details of this watch as we discuss it. Okay, so first up, as I always like to do, let's talk about the movement in here. So the movement is the three-hander SW200-1. Right, so you've seen this movement so much, in this channel before, or in any other watch channel. It is actually a very common movement, equivalent of the ETA 2824, except with one extra jewel. In this case, it does unfortunately have a ghost date position, so I'm not even sure whether Sellita does a three-hander with no date. Let me know if you're aware of it, but this one does have a date position, which you will feel as you pull up the crown to the first click, and some people really don't like that. I can take it or leave it, but this is what it is on this watch. For this particular movement in this watch, SWC do state that they regulate it in 5 different positions to the equivalent of top grade accuracy. Now this isn't a top grade movement, this is I think it's actually a standard grade movement, but they've regulated it to top grade, which is actually supposed to be plus or minus 4 seconds per day on average, with a maximum variation of up to 15 seconds per day allowable tolerance. The actual use accuracy I'm getting is actually plus 4 seconds per day, which is pretty darn good. Okay, so that's the movement. Let's just adjust this to a more favorable looking position, like I guess the 10 past 10 or thereabouts. Right, you can feel me doing this. It's actually a screw-in crown, right? That's really what you're getting here. Right, the case is 41mm diameter, 316L steel. Thickness is not bad, right, for this size watch. 13mm thickness, 22mm lug width with a lug-to-lug distance, which is fairly compact for 41mm diameter. It's actually 47mm between my thumbs there, so fairly compact overall. Weight is substantial because this is pretty solid steel, pretty solid bracelet, 170 grams on the wrist. You're not going to forget that weight sitting on your wrist there, right? Very substantial weight there. Finishing wise, okay, let's talk about that. Polished top bevels, right? So that bevel on that bracelet there, as well as the bevel on the case, hopefully you can appreciate that, is nicely polished. pretty well done. Very nicely finished. I guess I gotta say the quality of the finishing in this case here, particularly for the sub 500 mark, this is as good as anything that I've ever seen. Circular brushing along the top surface of the lugs, all right, and longitudinal brushing along the side of the case, as well as the side of the bezel at the top there. Okay, that's really what you're getting here. Moving on to the bottom, you're actually getting polished surfaces, right, on the bottom surface of the lug there. Right, the case back is screw secured. You can see there's there's 6 position screws around the periphery of that case back, so it's not a screw down case back. But it's not a diver, it doesn't need to be, so they've chosen to do that to kind of give you that nicely aligned case back, etching of the Swiss watch company, as well as the kind of that block pattern that they have. Right, screw secured case back and a screw down crown, right, signage there on the crown with, I think that's really supposed to be the SWC logo. The water resistant rating of this watch is 100 meters, so good enough to go to most places you would, and I wouldn't hesitate taking this into a pool for swimming either, right? I think the quality suggests that it will be fine with that screw down crown. Okay, so that's the case. Let's talk about the dial now, which really has a lot of the more unique characteristics of this particular watch here. So this is a matte blue dial, right? This watch does come in, of course, a number of other variants, and I'll try to put a screenshot right here of the different color variants of the quartz as well as the automatic. The quartz movement does come with a movement that allows you to track a different time zone, and just to let you know, that price that I quoted, $389, comes with the integrated rubber strap. This particular bracelet is not completely finalized. I believe they are still in the process of finalizing it, but the price will be around $70 extra for this particular steel bracelet option. Okay, so back to the dial. The dial here, matte blue texture in this particular color variation. It does have that blue block textured center, fairly detailed, nice little texture that kind of gives depth to the dial here. It's got an applied logo and a very subtly etched SWC wording on the actual middle of the dial there. The outer ring of this dial is a lot of the interesting bit of this dial. It's a solid one piece of ceramic is what it is, the outer ring. It's got a matte surface on the bottom, and then the indices are not applied. They're actually raised bits that have been, cut out of the ceramic, and they've polished it to allow it to play with the light quite nicely. So very nicely done. Quite a unique, ceramic outer ring. I've never seen this done before. The hands itself are polished Dauphine style hands. It's got a simple stick for the seconds hand. The lume in this particular variation is BGW9 and a blue glow. It is C1 or C3 in other variations. And the glow is on the main hands, the 2 main hands, as well as all the indices. The indices in this version does glow very nicely, and I'll put a lume shot here for you to appreciate how it glows in the dark. The hands on this version don't glow very nicely because it's a prototype, and they've indicated that it will be much better on the production models. Okay, so that's the dial. Around the dial is, you've seen the bezel. This is not a rotating bezel by any means. And on top of the dial is a dome sapphire crystal. I want to say it's probably not a double dome. It looks like it's possibly a single dome because of the distortion I'm getting here. It does have 6 layers of anti-reflective coating applied on the internal surface, is the description here. Alright, so moving on to this bracelet, which again, not completely finalized, but it is a 3-piece per link solid steel bracelet, polished center with brush sides is what this has. Solid end links with quick release bars. You've probably already spotted that if you look carefully earlier. Pin and collar adjustment, so not just push pin, but push pin and collar, which is pretty darn secure. No, they haven't gone for screw links, but I can forgive push pin and collar for the security that it gives. Overall, I do prefer screws, but that's not a bad alternative. It's got a very solid clasp right now. Again, not entirely sure that this will be the exact clasp, but very solid clasp, push pin release, right? Solid arms, and then the good thing is it's got this ratchet. Okay, you can see that ratchet there. 6 positions, right? with a total adjusting length of about 13 millimeters extra. So play there, right? That's really what this ratcheting glass is on this. And then I'll have to, tell you that they will provide bonus color match Velcro style straps, and I'll show you one of these. I'll probably show you this one because it's more closely matched to this particular watch, I think. So let's just snap this on for a wrist shot first for you guys. So there we go, guys. The Swiss Watch Company Sport model on my 17 centimeter wrist, right? 13 millimeter thickness there, remember? 47 millimeter lug to lug distance, which sits fine on a wrist that's not too large like mine. And then that's how that bracelet and clasp sits. I gotta say, this clasp is pretty long. It's pretty hefty, and probably one of the parts that I probably don't like as much about this watch. Right, so that's the styling there. So let's just take this off now, and I'm gonna put on the, take off the quick release. So just to show you how quick this can be done, I'm gonna do this in front of camera without any fast forwarding. So I'm gonna put that aside. And then for this strap, what you wanna do is put this on the top side, get that into the spring bar position, right? And this one is pretty simple, right? You're just gonna get the underside correctly and just slip it in. Okay, so again, I've done this without any fast forwarding on the camera, and that's how easy it is to do. So this Velcro strap, nylon Velcro, has surprised me, I have to say. This has surprised me. So I'm just gonna put it on there, and this is how you would get it on, right? Through that curved spring bar, which allows you to get that strap on, right? The curved spring bar on the top. And this is how it sits. And because it's Velcro, you can actually infinitely adjust it to the exact position that you would find most comfortable, right? And this has surprised me because I thought I wouldn't like it, but it's so easy to use, so comfortable, really, really comfortable. And that infinite adjustment does add to the comfort. I've actually grown to like this more on the wrist, because that bracelet has some discomfort to it, and I'll talk about it in the weaknesses of this watch. Okay, so guys, that's the watch. Let's just put this on to present it to you in a more kind of a look that you would see it, as a shot. What have I enjoyed about this watch? Okay, great overall package, pretty good overall package. Swiss made, right? It does have a Swiss made label, SW200 movement, Sellita movement, a unique ceramic dial as far as I'm aware. Never seen a dial with that kind of work put into it. A good quality clay, so I gotta say, really great finishing for the price range. Probably the best I've seen out of anything at this price, I would say. For under $400, I think it's a pretty darn good package in terms of the value it's offering. A very interesting design on the dial there, I have to say. That really does steal the show a bit, and they've wisely played down the case. They've kept this case very simple because a lot of interest is in the dial, and you don't want to detract it with too many points of interest. Utterly modern look, right? The lume signature, right? Put it up here again. It looks like something out of Tron, which is, I think, not a bad thing. It's kind of cool when you get it charged up in the night. It looks like some sort of a electronic watch, but of course, it's not that at all. Yet, overall, I reckon in some ways, it remains relatively understated. It's not too showy, but it really has a lot of points of interest. This is how I feel about this watch. And I'll say, surprisingly pleasant Velcro strap. This has been a revelation to me. I'll probably try to get some of these for my other watches, I have to say. What are the weaknesses? I have to say, not too much to talk about. I think the current bracelet and clasp, all right, just to show you again, this clasp is probably too long. They really need to cut that down. I hope they do. It's really quite chunky and probably a little bit unbalanced on the wrist, is my opinion about it. And I have to say that there's a little bit of discomfort here. So as I wear it, you can see this part here, when you clip it on, which part is it? So this part here, this bit here, right? It really does chafe the wrist a bit. And in fact, when I wore it for, over a day, this part leaves quite a mark that comes out as red on my skin here. So I think that's going to rub a bit, and probably most people will find that slightly uncomfortable. So I hope they really improve that. Overall, I think, it could be nearly a go anywhere type of watch with the water resistant it has. Not quite, a little bit large. you know, a little bit sporty, not quite quiet enough for formal occasions, but it's nearly there. And you know, if you're never going to wear a suit, well, I think you possibly could take this anywhere you go. So guys, that's my thoughts about this particular watch. Let's flip the camera around now for the wrap up. So there you go guys, my review of the SWC Sports Automatic model. I think there are a lot of good things about this watch. You know, certainly the quality is there, and the price that they've pitched it on Kickstarter is pretty sharp for a Swiss-made piece. So, you know, let me know what you think about this piece, or if you have any experience with Swiss watch company, particularly their earlier watch, the Diver. Would love to hear your thoughts, of course. Guys, if you enjoy my videos, do consider subscribing. New content every week, always aiming to be objective and unbiased about all things horology. Thank you again for sticking with me, and as always, I'll catch you guys again next time.